So Babs, Babs is not your real name, so
No, it was Bridget.
Bridget. So how did you get the name Babs?
Well, my grandmother was Babs, so they called me after her. It's kind of a pet name.
And do you remember your granny?
I do, yes.
Could you tell me a little bit about where she came from?
Well, she originally came from Enniscorthy. She was one of the Dials of Enniscorthy. And they came, she was originally born in Liverpool. And then they came to Enniscorthy and they bought a pub in Enniscorthy. And then they moved to Waterford and they had, my great-grandparents then had a pub in Henrietta Street. And it was McCarthy's owned it then. And now I think there's out in apartments there in Henrietta Street.
All right. And then on the other side, what was the other side of the family? Where were they from?
My mother came from, it was a place called Coslow's Lane years ago, and her mother and father died when she was young, and her aunt and uncle reared her, and she had one sister, Kitty, and my mother joined the nuns, the convent in America for 4 years. She was a nun for 4 years, and then she came home and met Daddy.
Go away.
Yeah.
And did she ever talk about the time being a nun?
Oh yeah, they were devils. She said devils. She said.
What do you mean?
Yeah, she used to sit down and they'd sit down at the meal time and they'd talk about so and so outside, what she was and what she wasn't, you know. But there was she told us about a German nun there. She crucified him, and she had one nun there, and she'd done something, and she made her scrub a corridor on her knees, and she said it was terrible. So then Mammy came home, and she met Daddy then.
And why did she end up going to America to be a nun? I mean, like.
The Dominicans came over to the Mercy Convent looking for girls to join the nuns, and that's how she joined it.
Right. So that was very interesting.
Yeah.
You just hold the ball there and just pull the door in from outside.
Is that too much? The front door?
Noise from
I get.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, so she came back from America, and how did she meet your dad then?
As far as I can remember, that we were going through Ballybricken, going through the churchyard, and she met him there. That's what we used to hear, you know.
Okay. And did they ever talk about? So come here, was she very religious then?
No, she was. She used to go to mass now, and and say her prayers and that. You know, as a matter of fact, I have her prayer book that she was a nun. I have it upstairs. You know.
And the other way in the old days, the older people would have had favourite saints and all that kind of stuff.
She used to pray to Saint Martin.
Okay.
Yes, she used to pray to him.
Okay. And would that be like a novena and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff?
she used to do the novena, yeah.
Okay. And do you remember anything else about the old days as regards people's beliefs? Like, the way maybe St. Bridget's Day they would put things
Oh,
down.
they put out the blue ribbon on the lion, and they put out a saucepan and catch the first rain of St. Bridget. You know, or if someone was getting married, they put out the Infants of Prague, outside the door to keep it fine for the wedding. You know.
And what were the blue ribbon and
The blue ribbon was for a headache. You put the blue ribbon around your head, and it was supposed to give you a relief of the headache.
Yeah.
You'd only listen to those stories, and you'd have them.
Yeah, and then obviously what was the saucepan for them to get water?
To get a drop of the rain,
Yeah.
of the water for St. Bridget. It's supposed to be a cure in that.
Okay.
I don't know now, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And is there any other? Can you remember any other old ones like that? Because they're good ones. Because they're nearly gone. All those old ones are nearly gone.
They're definitely gone. And wait, let's see. I can't think of anything
What
else.
about? Would there be any kind of like?
And
there was another one too about the first person into a house. Was that on New Year's Day? Was it?
No, that New Year's Eve night, it was a custom of my grandmother's that a black man would bring the Sacred Heart picture into the house, and wish everyone health and wealth for the year was coming. And now the Uncle John, now he done all the houses here. He done all the houses in Lower Newtown, the old houses in Lower Newtown. And he'd go up to the Yellow Road and he'd go to the uncle in Corrigan Park. He used to do all the houses at New Year's Eve night.
Oh, what do you mean, a black man? What do you mean?
A man with black hair now.
Oh, okay.
You know, man with black hair. A man with black hair must come through the door.
That's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that now as you say it. So that would bring luck to the house.
The house, yeah.
Okay.
Now I do it myself. I put out the picture at just 12 o'clock of New Year's Eve night and I bring it in myself,
Okay.
you know.
And then what about your own childhood then? Where were you brought up?
I was born in William Street, in number 23 William Street. And then we were 4 years there and then we moved to Osier Park. And we were in Osier Park from 1950 to 57. And then we moved 57, we moved up here.
Okay. And what age were you when you came here?
I would have been 13 in the July.
Okay.
We came here St. Peter and Paul's Day.
So that was a good long time ago.
Yeah, 59 years ago.
Okay. And then what was your picture? I mean, what can you remember of that first day coming up here?
Well, I remember coming into the house and the walls were pink. And you couldn't paint or paper the walls for 6 months. And there were only boards until the Mummy and Dad got lino for the floors. But I remember coming up, there were nothing, only fields across the road from us. We were the Milan, Dorney's was the last house there, and then we were the first on this lot, moved in.
Okay. And were you happy as a child to come out here, or were you kind of like?
Oh
missing?
no, I was delighted to come
Okay.
here, yeah. I love because I went to the Ursline. And all my school class, you know, all my friends were up living here. Well, some of them were down on the front road where the first houses were built.
And what was yours line like then? Because that was kind of a mixed school, wasn't
It was, it was St. Anne's. It was a private school and
Yes.
the Ursline.
Yes.
And there you'd talk to St. Anne's. You weren't left talk to St. Anne's.
So the girls that were in St. Anne's were boarders, or were they already just...
No, they were private,
Okay,
you know, and then you had the boarders
okay.
up in the convent.
And so you had... Your school, you couldn't mix with the other girls?
No, the Ursline had their own playground and so had St. Anne's.
That's funny, isn't it?
It was very strange, you know. They all, one nun's teaching them.
Same nuns,
Yeah.
but two different
It was
classes.
two different schools, kind of. One was paid and the other was non-payable.
Okay. And like, how did that make you feel? Did you kind of look down on them?
No, we didn't make any difference
Okay.
to us, you know. I went to the national school. I didn't go to the pay school.
So the pay school was for secondary?
It was for, we'll say now, you kind of, we'll say, went to St. Anne's and you were paid for. And we just went to the national school.
Okay. But once you got to 13, you dropped out of school, or did you...
I went into the tech then.
Okay.
And I was there then until I was 15. Then
What you do in the tech?
I done commerce and that, you know, which at the time, you know, you were mad to get a job and get out and work.
And tell me about Waterford at that stage, because I mean, when you were a young person, where would you have socialised? What would you have done?
We would have went to, at that stage you wouldn't be going out young as they are now. We never went out till we were nearly 18. And we used to go into the Olympia, and then Sunday nights then we'd get on we go to Tramore on the bus, and you'd have to be home by 10 o'clock. You know, and you'd be running for the bus. We'd only go to Tramore and have a walk, and you know, at the slot machines and that, and come home then, but you had to be in by 10 o'clock.
And that wasn't on the train then? You didn't go...
No, we had the buses, the train was gone.
Oh, it was gone at that
Yeah,
stage?
yeah.
Okay. And tell me...
The train went in 1960, I think.
Okay. And so would you, like, you know the way you're out here by the countryside, would you have gone out to the country much?
Oh yeah, we would have went out the road to pick blackberries and stuff, and you had hazes and you had griffins out the road.
So these were farms, was it? Or?
No, they were just ordinary people. They lived out the road there.
And would you, like, how far would you go if you're out walking?
Oh, we'd often walk out as far as the bridge there, you know, and come back. That'd be out to where Killeor nursing home is now.
Yeah, okay.
You know, there's a big difference in the road there now.
Yeah. It's like a motorway.
It is, yeah.
And tell me then, just in relation to your own children, they were born here, were they?
I have one daughter, yeah.
And would have been, what was St. John's Park like at the early days? I mean, like, how did they form a community? I mean,
The school wasn't there.
okay.
The boys' school now wasn't there. We used to go down the school road there and go across a big green patch. We'd make a shortcut across it going to school or going to the shop, Dial's shop and Welch's. And Malloy's had the butchers down there, and you'd cross over. But the late Johnny Butler started a residents' association, and it was going very well, and they had a rent strike, and everyone would go down to Johnny to pay him the rent, and Johnny held on to put the rent into the bank, and then when it was over, we all got the money to pay the rent. Now I'm only listening to what my mother and father, you know, were talking, and Johnny was a great man for the community here. He got up the residents and was going for years, and then when the church came to be built, they got into the church then to help raise funds for the church, which they did. We had a car a month draw, and it was fantastic. We used to sell the tickets outside Woolworths on a Saturday, and then you had people in the glass factory and other factories selling the tickets and bringing the money back, and they used to make a lot of money on that, which helped to pay. We paid for the church in 5 years.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it is definitely.
And you mentioned like some of the industries, like the water glass. Like, what other industries would people have worked in at that time?
They worked in Denny's and the jute factory, and the sack and bag, as they called it, and what other one was? The paper mills and the flour mills and Clover Meats. They were all working in all the factories. There was someone out of the estate working in all the factories.
And then how do people get in and out of factories? Like, because it's quite a distance away.
On bikes.
Okay.
And then they kind of started getting cars. After a couple of years, they got cars, and then they used to drive to work.
Okay. So, I mean, what you reckon then what really helped the community to get going was the whole thing about maybe that strike, the original rent
strike, yes.
And then the whole
got
campaign
together,
for the
yeah.
church and
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. Okay.
It was really, it was fantastic.
Because there's a very strong sense of community out here, isn't there?
Oh, they are, yeah. It was always that. Everyone looked out for one another years ago.
But why was that? Because we all came from different areas, didn't you? You all came from different
Yeah,
parts of
after the city.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of mixed and got on well with one another, and everyone helped one another.
And was that because people were kind of the same age group, or what? Or how was that?
They were. Now, sometimes I'd sit and think and say, you'd hear someone in their 80s, and I'd say, oh God, they were only so many years older than me.
Yeah.
You know, when they came here, and I used to call him Mr. and Mrs. Now, even Saki Ryan, now I wouldn't call him Saki to his face. I'd always say Mr. Ryan. I could never call him Saki, you know, or Bill. I could never do it because we were always brought up to call him Mr. and Mrs. And even Bill Welch across the road, Billy Welch across the road, I was calling him Mr. Welch only up to about 3 or 4 years ago when he said to me, call me Billy, you know, and that you couldn't believe it. Now, there's a man across the road, Joe Burns, and he said to me one day, call me Joe. I couldn't. I still call him Mr. Burns.
That's funny, isn't it? And then, just with the neighbours and all that. I mean, can you remember any stories about people who lived out here from way back?
Not really, no. A lot of them now moved out after 3 or 4 years, and other people moved into it, you know. And that's really, you know, there was nothing really, what you call, major things happening, you know.
Yeah. And what did Joe, the school, the whole thing about the school then, the Sculler Corn,
Yeah.
all that. Can you remember any of those early stuff about trying to get a school going in the area and all that kind of stuff? Right?
No, it just was all, that was back in 1960, 63, I think. And 61, I could be wrong now with the year. But no, it was the brothers had to do with that. That it really had nothing to do with the community, you know. But it was, they were fantastic. Now, Brother Cross and Brother Welch, they were fantastic teachers. And Brian Donohoe, now he's on the front road. And he was a teacher and he was very good. And a Mrs. Kennedy from Passage. And then Harry now lived second next door, and Harry went to the school, and then now he's principal of the school.
Which is great.
Yeah, fantastic. He's some teacher.
And then you were involved too in the local residents association, were you, for a while? Or?
Yeah, back in '89 we started up the residents association again, and it was going. Just as a matter of fact, there's still going, you know. And but they're doing work now, but I have to hand it to Peg is doing all the work.
She's known as the Queen of St. John's Park. I don't know if anyone says that to her face, but
no, they don't. Don't put that into it.
But she's great.
She's the mayor of Johns Park. We raised funds for the hall, and when we were there on the committee, and she won the mayoral chain.
But she is a great character.
Oh, she is, definitely, yeah.
And you also you were involved with different. You were showing me pictures there of different trips that you did and stuff like that.
Oh, that was John O'Reilly done the trips.
Okay.
He used to organise the trips, and we used to all go off with him. And they were fantastic trips. You go to Killarney, and you know, but we had great days out on them. And then I used to run trips for the kids myself. We used to go to Dublin, up to the zoo, and they were great. We enjoyed them. The kids used to enjoy them. You know, you'd have maybe a busload of kids going off. They'd really enjoy the day in the zoo, you know. And
you were telling me too about you had a couple of different commemorations for the 40s.
Oh, we had the 40th anniversary of Johns Park, and the chef in the Ardree made the cake, which is a replica of the name is down there now, and he had it exactly the same as the name stone is down there now. We couldn't believe it. And we had Mr. Sheen and Mrs. Clooney. They were the oldest residents, and the baby that John Swift is holding, it was a little girl. Her mother was Miriam Welch and her father was John Welch, from 207 over the back road, and she was the youngest resident of the park. So you had the two oldest and the youngest resident of the park.
And then you also had managed to get Mary McAleese for the...
Oh, the 50th. Well, yeah, that was a great weekend. We started here on the Thursday putting up the buntings, and then on the Friday night we had a reception in the mayor for the older residents association, what members were left, and at the present residents, and we had a beautiful evening in the mayor's parlour. And we had then Saturday night, then we had a dance in the Butler Community Centre for the younger crowd that got married and left the park, and they all came back, and it was fantastic to see people going out and say, oh, I didn't see you for years. You know, it was really it was bubbling there. You couldn't, that atmosphere was in the hall that night was fantastic. I don't think you'd ever see it again. You know, it was absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. Now, I know they had the gathering last year and it was the same, but the one we had in the hall was absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. And then on the Sunday morning we had the Mass, and we had they came up to the hall then to meet the older residents, and she went around to every table and met every one of them, and she wasn't in a bit of a hurry to leave.
That's
No,
great.
she was fantastic.
And Babs, I never asked you yourself about your own. What work did you do? What did you
I
do?
worked in the jute factory, and then I went to the glass factory.
Tell us about the jute factory, because that's for a lot of people now living nowadays. They probably wouldn't even believe that such a place existed in Waterford.
Oh,
So,
it was absolutely, it was hundreds working up there.
so tell
And
us about it.
I was in the weaving shed, and you go in and you go up on the spools. You know, you had to put up these spools to keep the thing weaving, to put the twine on the big roll, and then you could make the weaving, you put in the shuttle and to go back and forth on the machine, and you'd have to keep that full. And then there could be one of them breaking, you'd have to stop the machine and fix it up again, you know.
And this was using jute.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That was in the mill now.
Yeah.
The jute came from the mill. I was in the weaving shed,
Okay.
where we weaved all the stuff
And what
for the bags.
So basically, we're making sack bags.
Yeah, the backing, yeah, sack bags, or the back, like the backing on the carpet.
Yes.
For all the world.
And this, the Hessian, the Hessian came from India, was it? Or?
No, I couldn't tell you that now.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Okay. And it was extremely noisy, wasn't it?
Oh, it was very, very nice. And we had nothing for our ears now, the way they'd have them now. You know, and you'd be shouting
Yes.
at people. That I got into the habit of shouting, and when I'd be talking, they'd be saying, "Don't be shouting, Babs." And I'd be shouting it once to myself.
And also, it was very dusty, wasn't it?
Oh, it was very, very dusty, yeah. Definitely it was dusty.
And it was mostly women working, wasn't
Yeah, there was men there too.
it? Yeah. But a lot of women got employment.
Oh, yeah, definitely, a lot of women. And it was great now. You know, it was a great kind of factory to work in. And so was the glass factory. Now, I was in Johnstown.
Oh, yeah.
And when we got married, then we had to leave. They weren't taking back married women. We were all...
Could you explain that for people? Because people won't believe that nowadays. Go on.
when you got married, it's like... excuse me. When you got married, you had to leave. As they made you out, well, you're married now. Make room, as I made you out, make room for someone else to come in. You know, you had your husband then to look after you. You know, you had no one else. You know, so you had your husband. You hadn't to make money at all. He earned any money.
You were a kept woman.
Yeah.
A lot of young women would find that hard to believe, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah. You know, it was terrible. It was terrible. We just say we had to go.
And then what were you doing in the glass factory then?
Excuse me.
You're all right.
I was in the decorating place. I worked in the cutting shop as well.
Okay.
No, I was only kind of doing tankers, you know, cutting the tankers.
Like, what would that be?
It was just like, it was the diamond ale that they were used to cut, so I was just cutting the diamond, you know, just the line how far they'd come up,
Okay.
and that was it. And then I went into the decorating place. You put flowers and stuff on the glasses.
Are you talking about engraving, like the actual engraving?
No.
Okay. You're fine, take your time. Do you want to get a glass of water?
You don't mind, do
Oh,
you?
yeah, work away. Nah,
Oh wait, no, leave it where it is. Go on, I'd be grand.
Okay. So anyway, so the glass factory. So you were in the jute factory, and then you were in the glass factory.
Yeah.
And where else did you say? Were you somewhere else?
I worked in Superquin then,
Okay.
and I worked in Guineas.
Okay.
So Superquin was my last job. I retired there 7 years ago.
Okay. So you've been around a lot of different places. And like on that, like what have you noticed about Waterford and industry and all
Well,
that?
well, it's after coming on a lot, Waterford. But I tell you, the parking facilities, the price of the parking facilities is outrageous in Waterford, I have to say. Because I was in Drought and we were there for 4 or 5 hours and all it cost me was €3. That when you go into town it's 180, 190 and it's ridiculous.
And what else? I mean, I'm just trying to think now about other. Can you remember any other occasions out here? Like, I remember like people talking about. I remember when I read Sean Dunn's book about the famous snake that appears in the box?
Oh, in Jackie Regan's. And the driver Power was called.
Can you tell us that story?
I don't know much about it, to
Okay.
be honest with you now. All we heard was the snake in Jackie Regan's, and they were all running down to see the snake.
And who was the expert that was called? Who was the man that called?
The driver Power.
Why was he called?
Peary Power, because I don't know why he was second next door to the shop and they called him. He was supposed to be the best.
Okay. Was there any other organisations out here, sports organisations?
You had the ICA out here. Now, I don't know much about that. I wasn't in it. And we have the active retirement out here now, the Sacred Heart Active Retirement.
Yeah.
And which, if anyone else wants to, in the area, wants to come and join it, they'd be more than welcome.
Okay.
And we hold it in the Butler Hall every Monday at 3 o'clock. Well, we're finished now till September, the 5th of September, so we'll be back the 5th of September now.
And come here, just another thing, when I have you, do you know, way back when you were small, do you remember what kind of games the kids used to play back then?
We used to play knocks,
Yeah.
and we'd play skipping and betties and the ball up against the wall, and we used to play shop. We used to play the shop with the leaves of the hedges for rashers and broken delf for money.
Yes.
You know, when you come to think of it, you know, we used to have great fun. But you don't see anything like that now.
And come here, another thing too, do you know the way we're next to St. Albans Hospital?
Yes.
Or the mental
hospital, yes.
Can you remember any stories about that, or what was people's... What was it like being next to the hospital?
You'd be terrified of it because you didn't know what, God help me, you didn't know what they were. But when they were building them houses across the road, we used to have some laugh. They were going out then to the fields, and they'd be carrying churns of tea and whatever they'd have in it. And the lads were building the houses, the Lord Mercy and Philly Grimes and them, they were building the houses across the road, and they used to say, "How we Egypts, look at them, how clever they are," they say. They dropped the churn and they say, the next one was to pick it up and carry it. You know, you'd want to see it now to believe it. Because we used to roar laughing at them, and Philly Grimes used to say, "Oh, look at them, we're the Egypts, they're the sensible ones."
Is that Philly Grimes the Pope?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he
so
was
he was a builder, was he?
He was working with Stubbs
Okay.
at the time.
Okay. And was there a fear of, we say, when the siren went off and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, you would be nervous,
Okay.
you know, because you wouldn't know what would be after happening.
And would many people work up there from here?
Oh, there were a lot of people went up from here to work.
Okay.
A lot of the women now went up here. Oh, they were there for years. Matter of fact, there's some of them still there.
Next was another one, wasn't it?
Raytex over, yeah.
Did many people from here work there?
Oh, they did, yeah. A good few people, young girls now worked in Raytex.
Okay. And then what about the tops of town and all that?
Oh, that was fantastic. When that started first, we used to go into tops of the town, and you go in at 4 o'clock to queue in Flaggy Lane for £1 to go into the gallery. And then they'd often bring their flasks of tea with them down there. It used to be fun now. Tops of the town was fantastic.
And would you, I suppose, did you feature the show, did you?
They did, and the Glass Factory used to have shows in it too as
Did
well.
you ever appear in it?
No.
Okay. Well, why was that?
Oh, I wasn't a singer.
Well, speaking of songs, didn't it, in the old days too, it was quite common for people to have their own song, didn't they?
Yeah.
So everybody would have their own
Yeah.
for a sing song.
So, oh yeah, yeah.
The Royal Call. Or
Oh yeah.
Noble Call. Was it?
Noble Call, yeah. Noble Call. I was trying to think of it.
Yeah. What about, just one question, I mean, because I know you had a daughter and all that, but...
Sorry, no, that's the girl next door. I'll have to answer that. Well, Peggy. Okay, girl, I'm just in getting an interview here. You're all right, okay, girl. I'll talk to you in a minute. No, you're all right, I'll talk to you in a minute. Okay, bye. The son is fixing me fence at the back.
Just about, I mean, there would have been, St. John's Park would have had a reputation for being a tough place at one stage.
Oh, it was, yeah.
So what
definitely.
was that like? What was that?
Oh, it was
growing-
roughly, now it was terrible. Absolutely. But it just died down, you know. It was only for a year or two, and then it all just died away.
Okay, I suppose it was when the boys reached a certain age.
Age, they were kind of, you know, they were out, and you can't blame them, you know, but they were all there, and they...
And then having someone in the community like the young man, like the guard Johnny Cleary,
Yeah.
would that have been a help?
No, it was kind of at the quietening down at that stage,
Oh, okay.
you know. But not that now I had nothing, no dealings with any of them. No, we were very quiet up here now, you know.
Okay. Anything else that you want to say? Because you know, just anything else. What, Keith? Can you think of anything you want to ask?
Not particularly, no.
Is there anything else, Babs, that you?
No, I can't think. There's about, I'd say roughly, the older people in the state now, just to roughly guess, I'd say there's about between 60 and 80 left of the older people. The older generation that moved in here is left. Now, that's not counting some of their children stayed in the house, but really now the older people that stayed in the houses, there's not many of them left now.
And is there a whole new generation of people coming in now?
Definitely, yeah. They're all, you don't know anyone, you don't know who now or anything. Where you knew everybody before, but now you don't know anybody.
So you have to start all over again.
My days is out of count.
Well, listen, Babs, thanks a million for giving us your time.
You're very welcome.
And again, if there's anybody you want to, anything you want to,
Just about, I'd say roughly, of the older people in the state now, just to roughly guess, I'd say there's about between 60 and 80 left of the older people. The older generation that moved in here is left. Now, that's not counting some of their children stayed in the house, but really now the older people that stayed in the houses, there's not many of them left now.
and is there a whole new generation of people coming in now?
Definitely, yeah. They're all, you don't know anyone, you don't know who now or anything. Where you knew everybody before, but now you don't know anybody.
So you have to start all over again.
My days is out of count.
Well, listen, Babs, thanks a million for giving us your time.
You're very welcome.
And
Yeah, if you could, please.
okay, Babs, just tell us about who's in the picture.
That's my father, Greg Power, as he was known, and this is my mother, Alice Power. And which Daddy, he was from Lower Newtown, and Mammy was from Costello's Lane.
But the two of them had Power surname.
No, Mammy was Conley.
Oh, Conley.
Yeah, and Daddy was Power.
Okay. And what did he do?
Daddy worked in the corporation for 40 years,
All right.
and
What was he?
he was on the wagons, emptying the bins.
All right. Okay.
And as I said, they have compared with what they were. They used to have to stand in the lorry, and all the stuff was fired in. And God, thanks be to God, there were men were never sick. They were really fantastic. You know,
I'd say that was tough work.
it was tough, and especially if a wet day, he'd come in and the water be running off, and he'd have to change his clothes and go back out again.
So there'd be a lot of washing needed.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Mammy was kept going with all the washing.
Okay. And then.
Mammy worked in the radio factory in Ferrybank.
All right. What is that, pie or something?
His master's voice,
Okay.
and she worked there for a couple of years until she met Daddy and got married.
Is that where they made records? And
Yeah,
stuff? Okay.
yeah.
Over
trying to-
Dunlop. Was it Dunlop?
Is that where it was?
I know
In
it is
Ferrybank.
It's over by the little humpback bridge there.
Yeah, it is over there. And she worked there until she married Daddy.
Okay. And then show us the other photographs there while you're at it. That was the trip, and then these were the two commemoration ones. So this is
This was the
one.
40 years of Johns Park. You had the old, two oldest residents, and you had the youngest resident, and you had Father Griffin, Mr. Sheen and Mrs. Clooney, and this was
The baby we're talking.
baby John Welch, and Miriam was the mother and father. I don't know what the baby's name was. And we had a fantastic day down there. And Jack Malloy sold all the meat back at the 1953 prices. And by God, were they a rush. You get a tray of pork sticks for £5 at the time. You know,
That's
the
great.
people came from all over.
That's brilliant.
And then we had the one at the 50 years, and we brought down Mary McAleese. We had a weekend of it, and it was absolutely fantastic. And this is Mary McAleese cutting the cake.
And is that her husband?
That's Martin, her husband, and this was the Mayor Seamus Ryan,
Yeah.
and that's Kieran. I can't think of his second name.
Go on, and that's bad.
And that's Peg, and that's myself.
Okay. Great. That's brilliant. Thanks a million, Babs.
Very welcome.